Okay, let's dive into this fascinating experiment about artificial intelligence, persuasion, and the very nature of truth itself. So, it all starts with a mystery. A transcript gets fed to an AI, which gives the speaker's argument a really high rating, 4 stars, very effective. But then, when that same transcript is fed to what seems like the same AI, the argument gets torn apart, called metaphysically thin and incoherent. What is going on here? I mean, that's the central question, right? How can the exact same technology look at the exact same text and come to two completely opposite conclusions? Well, the answer lies in a kind of hidden instruction. The big difference here is an experimental tool the author calls the PQ orientation prompt. Think of it as a set of instructions designed to give the AI a sort of moral and metaphysical compass. It shifts the AI's analysis from, hey, is this persuasive, to the much deeper question, is this actually coherent? Does it hold together? The goal here was to build a framework that doesn't just evaluate an argument for its logic, but for its deep moral grounding. It's not about how smart an argument sounds, it's about whether it's oriented towards something real and true. So, how does this actually work? What's really cool is how this complex idea gets broken down into 5 core components. Basically, the AI scores any argument on these 5 things. First, does it treat morality as a real thing, not just, a personal preference? Second, what's its purpose for humanity? What are we for? Third, where do its moral laws even come from? Fourth, does it hold up under extreme pressure, what the author calls the Nuremberg test? And finally, does the language used actually clarify reality or just muddy the waters? All that gets crunched into a final PQ score. So let's see how this thing does when it's put to the test. So the author ran a bunch of transcripts through both the regular base AI and this new PQ model. And right away, a really clear pattern started to show up. Again and again, you see this. Arguments that the base model rated super highly for being persuasive and well-structured, well, they received really low scores from the PQ model because they just didn't have that deep, coherent grounding. And this chart illustrates the core finding perfectly. A speaker could be absolutely amazing at persuading an audience, a real master, but their core argument, according to this new rubric, was basically hollow. But then came the most surprising result of all. Okay, so the author then analyzed a debate between a progressive pastor named Brandon Robertson and a logician, Andrew Wilson. And this is where the PQ model's analysis suddenly lined up with the base models in a way that was pretty stunning. I mean, just look at those numbers. Both models came to the same conclusion. Robertson's argument was exceptionally weak, while Wilson's was way more robust. But the really crucial part is why they both thought it was weak. This was the big eureka moment for the author. You have 2 totally different ways of analyzing something, and they both point to the exact same deep flaw in an argument. And this slide really gets to the heart of it. The base models saw a failure of logic on the surface. Contradictions, things that just didn't add up. But the PQ model claimed it saw a much deeper failure, a complete collapse in the argument's very foundation, its connection to any kind of coherent reality. So, what you should really take away from all this is the author's ultimate claim. This isn't just some tool for tweaking AI. It's much bigger than that. It's presented as a potential method for all of us, for you, for me, to distinguish between what just sounds good and what actually holds together under real pressure. It's a way to see past the persuasive rhetoric. And that leaves us with a final, really provocative thought for this increasingly complex world we live in. As information gets more and more complex, what's the better way to measure if something is true? How persuasive it is, or how coherent it is?